And we're back. And apparently, I've already cut Mike off once right before we started.
You
so
might drive it
we're
through
in
a
form.
Hey, oddly enough, that is, how do you have a bumper that old?
Because I just don't go grab a new bumper. And I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you about like all the guilt stuff later. I don't want to do that here. We'll do that later. So it has been a while.
Oh, he's gone. He rage quit.
And he's gone. He's already left. I see how it is. It's fine.
He took his toys and he's going home.
Well,
by the way, hi Nick and hi everyone.
Hi.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. We have tons of people in chat while Mike is figuring out his situation. Scepter's here. Carla is here. Good evening, Carla. It's good to see you. Zombie is in the house. Retro Bro is in the house as well. He's replaying Doom tonight, I guess, for the season. We have Chuck in here, DJC Geek Studios. Okay, and his phone goes Steam Labs. That's what happened. So Wolfpack's in here. God like taters. I love the new icon taters. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So looks like Josh has popped in to check things out tonight. Thank you, Josh. Good to see you, man. So while we're waiting on Mike, oh no, wait, there he is. So Mike exists as a black void again.
Nice.
Yes, my phone is playing Halloween tricks on us already.
He's from Spooky Vision.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with that. I don't know where else to go with that.
That's okay.
Taters always makes me hungry too. So it has been a while. Rob, what you had going on?
Just this past weekend or like in general? Like how long has it actually been?
However you want to approach it, man, it's been a while.
Like
it's been a month.
A month?
It has been.
No, it's been more than a month.
Yeah, I think it has been more than a month.
I think I'm way off the sync here. I'm trying to break out the chat in the other window here. I've been good. I'll just keep it simple. Yeah.
Okay. Mike?
I've been busy.
Okay. Well, we're not in a rhythm tonight. Good and busy. I feel like we're doing like a Fifth Element interview with Bruce Willis.
Yes.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Multipass.
Multipass.
No, I mean,
Powers in here. What's up?
Mazen.
I've been slammed with all kinds of stuff. And I'm dead center, well, not dead center in the middle of. I'm right at getting at the tail end of the Jewish holidays. Work has been just killer. I've gotten a modicum of gaming in. I haven't done jack squat with my Atari VCS videos that are sitting on my Surface Pro, waiting to be edited and voiceovered. But life is otherwise awesome.
This is a spiritual meeting. We're summoning Mike.
So, hey, great stream with you and Omega the other night, Mazen. That was so fun.
I think I totally missed that one. I don't know how I missed that one.
And the fact that he got my Monty Python references, Mazen gets bonus points.
Yeah, he was. Omega was streaming Proteus and then Gradius 3, and Mazen was on as his navigator / chat handler.
Were they doing like a Friday evening stream? Is that what was going on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I always miss those because I'm rarely home on Friday night to be able to catch those, so I always miss those. I think I've caught one or two of those, and they're always a fun watch. Okay, Mike's on mute again. I didn't do it this time.
It was a rare time when Omega's YouTube notifications went off while I was awake.
Fair enough. Mazen says, "Oh shucks, thanks, brother Mike," and says he's the naked navigator.
Yeah, he was.
And the counting shall be 3.
Two thou shalt not say unless thou then countest to 3. 4 is straight out.
4 is right out. Mazen got that, and it was perfectly timed for the game they were playing.
Nice. I have not been doing much. I have I've been doing a lot of recording, but not a lot else other than that. Mostly enjoying taking the time to just kind of like focus on getting uploaded videos done. Been watching some streams here and there. I still got to catch up on your other video, Rob. I'm super bad about keeping up on like half the channels now.
That's right.
So I need to catch the second half of that one. I got the first half, and I really enjoyed your guys' picks on the first half.
Even better on the second half.
Okay. I
Little
definitely need to sit down and watch that then and catch up. It seems like every time I turn around, I'm either like lately I've been just trying to do some gaming and then split it up with some recording and things like that. This past week was mostly on call. They jacked up my schedule a bit. They moved up my on-call week, which screwed everything up because what it did is I had vacation time around then, so they had me work that weekend and then have the week off through that weekend and then come back and be on-call again for another 4 days. And I'm like, I'm kind of hating you guys right now because you keep jacking with my on-call schedule to where I always feel like I'm on-call and I never have any time anymore. And on-call was just kind of one of those, like, it wasn't super intense and long calls, but it was just annoying where they kept calling. So we already got a couple people on, and it looks like Mike is starting to get inside his house, and we have lost him a little bit again. This one's going to be weird to get started. Best Halloween movies. Halloween, Nightmare 1, 3, and 4. Friday 13th, Part 7. Now the Demons, Sorority Babes, and Slimeball. What? Bolorama, Return of the Living Dead. Evil Dead, Freddy vs. Jason. I know some of these. My Halloween picks are very different.
Why don't you like Nightmare 2? I'm kind of curious why you skipped that one.
I am kind of curious why he didn't like. I get why you would like 3, because that's like Dreamwalkers, right?
Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors, that's it.
With
Dream
the song
Warriors
with the docking.
had some really freaky. I've seen 1 and 3. I think I might have seen 2.
3 had Christian Slater in it, which was back in his time when he was popular.
He was popular through the 90s. Hey, Matrix, how's it going, man?
He hasn't been popular in a while.
Last thing I remember him really being big in was Broken Arrow, and I want to say that was like late 90s.
Yeah, that was the last thing I remember seeing him in.
That or Heavy Rain. I can't remember which one of those came after the other. I know he was in something where I think it was like Morgan Freeman. It was like Heavy Rain or something like that. I can't recall.
I remember that movie because I remember when it has nothing to do with what we're talking about other than this exact movie. When that Heavy Rain came out originally, it was originally called The Flood because I remember seeing the trailer and it was called The Flood, and the next thing I knew, it's been being rebranded as Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain, right?
Yeah, because it was right.
I thought it was a good movie. I actually enjoyed it.
I haven't seen it, but it was right in the middle of all the other natural disaster movies. So you had like Twister and
I could see that. Yeah, I didn't really.
So I think they changed the name probably because of that. Except for Heavy Rain, still sounds like a natural disaster.
It does, and I agree. Broken Arrow is a bit underrated. I thought that was a very good film.
Kind of a disaster.
I thought that was an excellent film for its time. It doesn't get remembered along the likes of like Con Air and The Rock and all those that came out around that time too. I guess it just didn't have the same level of punch, but I thought it was an excellent film.
Hard Rain. That's okay. That makes more sense.
Hard Rain, is that what it's called?
Okay. Heavy Rain is the game. I was like, did they really just name?
I thought they might have used it for both. I mean, it's not like it can be trademarked or anything.
I thought you're right. But I was like, that makes more sense because I was like, well, Heavy Rain still sounds like a natural disaster. Hard Rain does not really. It sounds like a generic action movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Gleaming the Cube is the other Christian Slater movie now.
Thanks, disembodied voice of Mike.
Is a Christmas movie? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm almost to the point. I'm almost down to my computer. So in about 3 or 4 minutes, I will kick out and come back in on my machine.
We have a discussion on whether or not something is a Christmas movie or not, and I don't know which one we're talking about right now. If we're talking about Nightmare Before Christmas, it's both, in my opinion.
I don't think we're talking about that.
Die Hard. That's what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, Die Hard's obviously a Christmas movie. What are you talking about? I thought that discussion got finished ages ago. Heavy Rain isn't a game. It's press X to Sean meme. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah. A couple of people enjoyed Heavy Rain. Christian Slater was in Hollow Man 2. I didn't even know they made a second Hollow Man movie. I remember hearing about the first one, but I never sat down and actually watched it. It looked like it could be kind of a more creepy take on the Invisible Man, which I thought was kind of a cool idea.
It was Invisible Man as told by Paul Verhoeven, if that makes any sense to anyone.
Paul Verhoeven doesn't really ring any bells to me. But then
RoboCop,
in the horror genre, I kind of tread in the kiddie pool. I dip my toe into it around this time of year, watch a couple movies I haven't seen, and then watch a bunch of my favorites, which are generally not horror-esque movies, and then go about my business. Okay, apparently he made Starship Troopers. All right. Yeah. Well, I really enjoy Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I forgot about that. But that's who did Starship Troopers. Not a horror movie. So.
And see, we've got consensus. Fastback says Die Hard is a Christmas movie. So, see, there you go.
I'm trying to say Die Hard hates the Jews. Is that what you're trying to say?
What?
Nick, come on.
I'm very confused here. I didn't see like a Hanukkah. I didn't see any stars of David being thrown or anything.
That was Die Hard 3.
Nobody had a yarmulke on.
No, nobody had a yarmulke on. Let's see how uncomfortable I can make Nick tonight.
Well, I'm already uncomfortable, so congratulations, I guess. I don't know.
Why are you uncomfortable?
I'm getting used to streaming again. This feels unnatural, waiting till a specific time to do something. I'm used to just doing my work and then moving on with my day now. It's getting kind of weird.
Oh, he's back.
Panda watch The House That Jack Built if you're looking for a root and turbine disturbing old time. House That Jack Built. Because we put why is Mullis in the dark? Because we put him there. That's where his natural habitat is.
I've been banished again.
What's up, Freak? How you doing, man?
What's up, Freak? Freak, are you going to finish reviewing the other? I looked through your channel for your other Puppet Master reviews. Did you not review the
series? I haven't seen those in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Puppet Master.
My favorite B movie franchise.
I need to find those and sit down and watch those again. I think I watched like 2
You can get like an anthology for like $5.
Yeah, wasn't there like 6 or 7 of those?
I think 6, maybe 7. I watched I wasn't even aware of how many there actually ended up being. But the last one I saw was absolutely just miserably horrible. So
I remember the first couple being really good. I think the last one I recall had the gunslinger that had like 6 arms.
The last one did not that he showed up in 3 and then on. But the last one didn't, I don't think, have any of the puppets. So it was basically like Puppet Master in name only. It was.
How would you do a Puppet Master movie with no puppets? I'm very.
I don't know that having all the puppets in the movie is the whole point of the Puppet Master movies. I think, and I've purged a lot of that movie from my memory, so I might be blocking something out. 9 or 10. Holy smokes! Maybe it's 10 that I'm thinking.
Wow, really? Oh my God! Lost Boys is an excellent film just to watch. Period. Halloween's a good time to watch it, but that's just an excellent film, I think.
And that was on the other day.
And Distracted's in here. Born Distracted's in here. Good to see you, man. Kind of waiting to fully get ramped up here till Mike finally gets settled. I knew Mike was going to be a little late today.
No, I would keep going. I'm just not on camera at the moment. I'm almost
Blade,
there.
Torch, and 6-shooter. Yeah, Blade was cool.
Blade? Yeah, but Blade's
I don't remember
favorite.
Torch.
I actually dressed up as him for Halloween when I was in 7th grade.
Nice. And nobody yelled at you?
No, because I didn't know how to do the makeup, so I was like, yeah, fuck makeup. So I just basically just went out as I look like a 1940s gangster with a hook. So
nice.
I didn't sell it very well.
That's fair. Leprechaun movies. Yeah, see, a lot of mine aren't really horror movies. And as a prime example, like Monster House is one that I tend to watch each year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a Spielberg CGI movie about 3 kids going in a house that's literally possessed by the spirit of a guy's dead wife, and they have no idea when they go into it. And the entire house is literally trying to eat them. It's just a cute, fun movie.
All right, so speaking of that, what about the actual, I don't know if either of you have seen it, what about the actual movie House?
Yes, I have seen that one.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's like it doesn't know whether it wants to be a horror movie or an outright slapstick movie. It's totally
that's how I feel.
It doesn't really. It's great though. It's a great.
It is.
It's got what's his name
from Greatest American Hero
from Night Court.
Yeah, but the lead guy is the Greatest American Hero.
Yes, that's where I originally knew him from.
Really? Okay, now I need to find this film.
And it's got really good, scary special effects also, but then it is constantly like cutting the scary stuff with stupid, out of place humor. So it's almost like it's like if they just, what was that, Money Pit? Was that the one where they bought the house and it just turned into like this financial nightmare?
Yeah, Money Pit.
So it's like if they took that movie and then tried to put Poltergeist in it, and it's literally that kind of tonal juxtaposition.
There you go. Samish watched it.
See, here's another weird one that can or may not classify as a Halloween movie that fits in the same thing because it's got Tom Hanks in it. The Burbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's kind of got that. It's not
like the guy lives
super
next door to
horror and gory, but it's definitely got that kind of creepy vibe down.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nick, I think I'm sensing that your definition of a Halloween movie might be closer to like what mine is, where it's not like an outright full-on horror scary movie, but more like fun and spooky.
Yeah, and I do watch some of those too. Like, I want to say last year I watched Friday Night 1 and 2. I watched Hellraiser 1 and 2. I couldn't stand 2. Like, the last Cenobite they introduced in 2, I thought was like, I immediately... Almost as soon as he came on screen, I was ready for him to die. He was deeply not like disturbing, just annoying as hell. Like every time he was on screen, he was super annoying. I went to Atlanta and I really enjoyed it. I don't get I kind of get why that one stayed more niche because Pinhead's a little harder to like kind of grasp and relate to. And that whole series has really good lore. Matter of fact, I'm working on a video for that sometime this week. It's pretty much wrapped up. I just got to get it loaded up and figure out when I want to launch it. But the lore behind that whole thing is really cool. They did a lot of really good work on it. And Clive Barker's like amazing at like showing you the visceral nature of what he wants to depict as far as gore and like disturbing imagery and stuff like that goes. He's pretty much a master at that in that era. He's really, really good at it. So from that standpoint, I enjoyed it. But I didn't get a good grasp on Pinhead as a character or any of the Cenobites as a character, which I think was kind of the point. But it's kind of hard. Like Jason, you kind of get what Jason's about pretty early on. Didn't really say a lot of gory kills, very physical acting. Freddy Krueger's always got a mouth on him. You kind of get what he's about very early on. Pinhead's harder to pin down. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like and I've only seen the first 3, and he was different, at least from my memory of watching movies in high school. He was different in all the 3 of the movies. Like he wasn't like I remember him in the first one not being an outright bad guy, but still being the villain of the movie. And then they made all of them much more sympathetic for some reason in the second one. And then he went back to a full-on mustache twirling bad guy in the third one, where he wanted to like.
And see, I haven't seen the third one. And the second one, they seem to be kind of like a species that was kind of being level set,
these are awful,
and they're doing some weird stuff with it.
People, poor kid, poor woman, poor guy.
Right.
They almost seem to be like tormented and tortured against their will, and
that's kind of what it seemed like to me. Like they had been, and that kind of goes into the lore, because apparently, and I didn't know this until I started digging into it, that apparently a Cenobite is a blending of like two different spirits by this Leviathan creature and made into one being, right? So it's neither one nor the other. It's a combination of the two, and warped in a way to like service Leviathan himself. And they're all pretty much eternally tortured themselves. Pinhead has the pin on himself. Chatter's got his whole thing going on. I forget what the big heavyset dude was in the first two. The really, really overweight one. I forget what he was called. But they all had their own kind of like torment going on, to the point to where they kind of just like it kind of got mingled. Pain and pleasure kind of got mingled in that whole S&M kind of way. And it was just sort of their state of being. It's what they sort of enjoyed. And they were kind of there as, I guess, emissaries of that kind of way of life kind of thing, is, I guess, is how I interpreted it. It's kind of bizarre.
It's been 20 years since I've seen the last movie. So,
like I said, I've been recently doing research, so I have kind of this stuff in my head, right? So Marty Flamingo's in here.
Marty has become quite the movie star. I can't pronounce this right.
Retro Gamer Yasuke? I don't know if I said that right. I apologize if I butchered that.
I would have said Yasuke as well.
So we got a couple more people popping in. I met Yasuki a little while ago, so I haven't done anything on my channel for him to pop in on.
So let's do what we always do here on Retro Roots, and let's define the terms, because there are so many movies that I could talk about that are great Halloween style movies, but I don't know how they classify to you guys. So I brought up House as one. Fright Night, not the remake, the original Fright Night.
That's what I saw. Was the original 1 and 2, and those are.
I honestly didn't even think about
those. Are over the top, cheesy, campy. Like they're. Like I would have been scared of them back in the day, but going back and looking at them now, they're way over the top, campy.
But Chris Sarandon, oh man, as
Chris Sarandon, and also whoever the kid's name that played Evil Ed, I thought was just
I think that's Stephen Godfrey.
What's his name?
I think it's Stephen Godfrey. I think that's who that is. I'm looking that up now.
Tale of the Mummy.
But that, Mike, that is one of my favorite. I guess I watch it all year long, so it's I've been using it as a Halloween movie, but it's just my favorite vampire movie.
Yeah.
It just
Fright Night?
Gloriously 80s, but also it's not really.
See, I didn't really care that much for Fright Night. I mean, if I'm gonna watch like vampires, I'm gonna go. If it's a vampire movie, I'm probably gonna go Lost Boys.
Lost Boys is an excellent movie. Excellent movie.
Another one that's more kind of comedy. Once Bitten, I think, was an early 80s one. I haven't seen anything in forever. But he gets bit by this hot chick, starts turning into a vampire, that kind of thing.
Is that Jim Carrey or Nicolas Cage?
Carrey. No, Jim Carrey.
Okay.
And Lauren Hutton.
But that's not a very serious horror movie. It's kind of about a coming of kind of thing. But it's not like too deep, too intense. And for me, like I'll go with my definition. You guys can tack onto it or go and we can discuss this here. Mine is either anything that just kind of fits in the spirit of, or kind of get you in the mood, because mine's kind of all over the place. Like Fright Night, Hellraiser, any of the Freddy, Jason movies, all those things. Those all fit. Those are fine. A lot of people mainline those throughout the year. This is that time of year that I kind of watch those films to kind of get exposure to a genre of film that I don't normally gravitate to kind of expand my own horizons, right?
Right.
It's not a mainstay. Now, there's others that I can watch other times a year, but I commonly don't, like Hocus Pocus, Nightmare Before Christmas, Monster House, movies like that. If I happen to see The Great Pumpkin, I'll watch that. Things of that nature. I don't really care for Ernest Scared Stupid, but I didn't like Ernest Saves Christmas all that well either. Just a personal preference on that one. His comedy's not really my cup of tea overall. It goes a little too for me. But those are some of the ones that I kind of enjoy, and I enjoy all those in the same kind of seasonal holiday mix, right?
Right. But for me to answer, so Matrix asked, Fright Night is more like a horror comedy. I
don't think so.
I don't think so. Yes, there are comedic moments, but there are comedic moments in Nightmare on Elm Street as well. It was and I don't find it necessarily
the movie is played straight. So
yeah, and I don't know.
Friday Night tries to take itself straight. It just comes off as goofy. And The Craft I can kind of see as kind of spooky. I can see that. I saw that one in the theater. I didn't really think it was all that spooky, but it's definitely got a bit of a creepy vibe.
Man, Wolfpack is hitting hard tonight. Vampire in Brooklyn.
Vampire in Brooklyn actually gets a little dark in points. It's good though.
It does. And Tales from the Hood.
I never watched Tales from the Hood.
Oh my god!
I saw a bunch of Tales from the. I saw a couple of the Tales from the Crypt when I was. I want to say when I was in college because I never got into it when I was younger.
Tales from the Hood is a little different. It's I'm getting the
Exorcist
up now.
I think Exorcist totally counts. If you look at the era they came out with, the suspense they build in that, the weight of that film, I think that movie holds up really good. Also, I think the Poltergeist holds up really well.
Creep Show.
I haven't seen Creep Show.
Creep Show. That all I can think of, like when, like what always sticks out at me on that movie is, "Thanks for a ride, lady."
Yeah, well, that's Creep Show 2.
Is that 2?
Yeah, that's 2.
So
was
that also the one? So which one also had Ted Danson in it?
That was Creep Show 1. So Creep Show 1 had Ted Danson, Leslie Nielsen.
I can hold my breath for a long time. Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead is a popular pick. I'm not much on zombies. I got burned out on zombies really quick when they got popular, like in the 90s, and they were in like every video game ever, to the point where I just kind of can't stand zombies as a whole. Like Zombieland is an exception. I like that. Shaun versus I'm sorry.
Shaun versus the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead. Why am I drawing a blank on that? Dead. Yeah, but those are just kind of movies I'll watch occasionally. I don't necessarily consider those horror movies. Technically, they've got horror elements to them, so they sort of work.
Yeah, I more see Shaun of the Dead. I more find a comedy movie because of who's in it. You know,
Hoop, Scoop, and Boogie. Thank you for your souls. I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
Like, because Shaun of the Dead had Nick Frost and Simon Pegg in it, and I know them from, and in fact, I'm looking at the poster for it, and it even says a romantic comedy with zombies. So, that one was meant to be a comedy movie.
I feel like zombies have gone so mainstream, though. It's almost like they're everywhere now, right? Because you've got The Walking Dead and all these other shows that kind of focus on them. There's been a couple of them on Netflix, like Zombie and a bunch of others. Yeah. It just feels like zombies are just kind of like a normal movie genre now. But they feel a little overdone. Is that just me?
Yeah,
everything is overdone now, but they were much more.
Vampires not as much. Okay, Twilight kind of overdid it, but
everything is overdone. Everything is overdone. 28 Days kind of revitalized. In zombie movies were clearly overdone in the 80s because they died off, and it was 28 Days that brought them back. I believe that Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead actually brought back the real zombies that we knew, because 28 Days were, I don't know if they were. Really
28 Days I thought was actually a really good film. And there's been a bunch more of these popping up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep on top of chat and on top of the conversation, and I'm kind of I'm readjusting. Bear with me. Since I did this.
Poor Nick.
I don't personally like the Blair Witch Project. I spent most of my time like annoyed with these kids. They're like, but I faced something this way on the river, and now we turn the other way in the river. Like, face your damn head the direction you want to wake up and walk, and then get up and walk that way. Or how about you just follow the damn river?
Have a compass.
Did none of you guys ever go into the woods or take any basic like wood training before you went out into the middle of freaking nowhere? Did none of you bring a goddamn compass? I'm sorry, my dad was a woodsman, right? My dad goes hunting all the time. And Dad was like terrified watching that film. I'm like, Dad, these guys are the biggest. They've done everything that you told me not to do is what they have done. Like, these guys deserve to die. And Blair Witch 2, I wanted my money back on that one.
Yeah.
I went to the theater on that one because I had a couple of friends who were insistent on that, and that was I will die in the hell. That movie's garbage.
Blair Witch was. I agree.
Blair Witch too. Oh, I couldn't stand it.
Blair Witch was boring until the very, very end. At the very, very end of it, freaked me the fuck out. Very, very end of it.
The whole payout of Blair Witch is him standing in the corner in the end. Come on.
And then the guy with the camera getting whacked.
Yeah.
And that's screaming through the house though. That was freaky. But see,
I think by that point I was so checked out, and I'm like, why are you guys not just dead from any one of a million other things by now?
But see, so I'll give you another great example of a movie that I consider a great Halloween movie, a great horror type movie, but it's not really a horror movie till the real end. And again, the original, not the remake. Carrie with Sissy Spacek.
I haven't seen that one, but I could see where you're going with that. Yeah.
Dude.
See, I haven't seen Nosferatu. Isn't Nosferatu a silent film?
Say again?
I thought Nosferatu was mostly a silent film. Not that doesn't make it creepy, but I thought it was.
Well, the original one, Symphony of Horror, yes, because it was 1922, but even at that, it was still.
Oh no, the imagery on it's super creepy, man. Yeah. Like the vampire in that one is straight up like a blend of a human and a vampire. It's super trippy looking. And I like The Exorcist. I've seen The Exorcist 1, and I want to say it's either 2 or 3. I can't remember. I watch them when they pop up on Netflix. I don't go hunting things out like that out naturally. I wait till they pop up on a streaming service and I go, you know what, I haven't seen that one yet, or I want to watch that one again.
Yep. And the last thing I'll say about Carrie, which it isn't even what happens. I don't want to ruin it for you because I want you to see it. All I can tell you is it's not what happens. It's the look on her face when it happens. That look on her face.
Two versions of Carrie now.
No, don't
watch it. Seen the look on her face, though. I mean, that's you haven't seen Carrie at all. Mike, just when you said Carrie, I processed it. It was like Christine. I was like, yeah, that's John Carpenter.
Christine is also a phenomenal movie.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
When and the end of it again, the end where they're trying to wreck Christine with the front loader, and she's rebuilding while she. My god!
Yeah, and the way they actually tore apart the car in such a way that it looked like teeth. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I've seen Christine, and I thought that was actually a pretty cool film. I thought the most interesting part of that was the mental changes to him as the movie progresses.
Yeah,
that was almost creepier than the car itself.
Yeah,
right.
Especially at the end.
Bedazzled. That's a good film. That's just a fun film to watch.
Stampede.
The thing. If you're talking about the one with Kurt, I want to say Kurt Russell, like the early 1980s one. That one's super creepy. Like the imagery in that is super, super creepy. That totally works.
That was a good one.
When you say OG thing, though, I'm picturing like the Thing from Another Planet.
The 1982 movie.
Yeah, I'm way behind on chat. Holy crap, chat is popping tonight.
That's how I would think. I don't know.
This is almost more pop than I thought we would get on a return to this, because we haven't done this in a long time.
Right. They use real pig's blood in that scene.
Yeah, there's some like messed up stuff in some of the early horror movies, because they were doing a lot of real practical effects, right? So they wanted everything to look as realistic as they could in a camera angle.
Scepter brings up The Omen.
The Omen. I don't know if I saw The Omen. I remember seeing The Relic, and I remember enjoying The Relic and thinking it was really cool because they didn't show the monster for a long time. It was more messing with your head.
Yeah.
For most of it before they showed the monster, whereas a lot of them around that time had been showing the monster very early on.
Well, and
Child's Play. That's another good one.
The thing about The Omen is when it came out, because that came out in 76. I was only like I was 3 years old, so I didn't see it till I was like my parents were watching it one time. I think it was like 5, and I wasn't like paying attention to it, but all I remember was the kid Damien, and called Damien, was in a car, and they were driving through like a wildlife zoo, like one of those safari zoos, and Damien was attracting all of these monkeys, and all these monkeys came and attacked the car that they were driving in, and they were trying to get away, and they were trying to punch the windows out, and they were hanging on the car as the car was trying to drive out of this thing, and that freaked me out.
I would definitely consider Saw movies horror. I've seen one or two of them, and I definitely consider that horror. Children of the Corn is kind of classic in that respect too. I consider that one a little slow. It's definitely much slower paced. But then I consider The Exorcist and Poltergeist kind of slower paced too. That doesn't necessarily make them a bad film. They're just not what you like really consider. It's not modern horror. There's a lot more timing and pacing in it, which is good in a lot of ways.
Poltergeist was so good.
See, I tapped out of Saw after like 2. And I think just because it just sort of became like murder porn at some point, it didn't really appear to be much about like the killer himself or anything else other than just seeing like some sort of like super crazy kill. Which I know for a lot of people that's the draw, but Saw seemed a lot smarter when it started out, and I think that's why I liked it. Kind of like a Scream. Like Scream I thought was very clever when it came out because it was a horror movie that was also making fun of horror movie tropes. And I found that very appealing.
Wolfpack. I watched I don't know if I call it a horror movie, but I watched Train to Busan this weekend with the wife. And it's a really, really good zombie movie. Zombie in the 28 days sense. I don't know if they're dead. They come back to life. Really, really good movie. I was actually surprised by how good it was, even in subtitles.
Like Japan and areas like that have been doing a really good job with horror. Like The Grudge is kind of an idea that came from there as well, or inspired by. Yeah, I think we mentioned The Thing before, Fastback. The Thing is definitely, yeah, that one's definitely another one that I still can't go in and look at the mirror and say 3 times. Candyman freaked me out when I was a kid because I saw that one in the theater. Oof. That one freaked me out, man.
God, I couldn't watch any of these in the theater.
13 Ghosts is another one I particularly enjoy. I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
See, that one's more action, kind of like action mystery. They're capturing all these ghosts to like charge up a portal to hell to be able to like see into the future kind of thing. And the house itself is a huge part of the character because it's this glass house with all this etching and stuff on it, and it moves and rotates around. It's really neat. The whole concept's very cool.
So another great one, and it's kind of interesting that we
see Mockingjay feels me.
It's kind of weird people don't remember this one too. The Amityville Horror.
Amityville Horror. I don't know that I ever sat down and watched all of that.
And again,
I think I watched parts of it.
The original one from the 70s. And I'll remember there's 2 scenes in there that I remember freaked me out because again, when I saw them, I was young. One was
I had the same thought. I'm kind of curious if you and I were freaked out by the same scenes.
Okay. So first was the swimming pool scene.
Refresh my memory on that because maybe that's not the
girl is swimming in the swimming pool, and it's like an Olympic-sized pool, big pool. She's swimming in it. She dives under, and somehow she comes up, and the surface is like glass, and she can't get up, and she nearly drowns. The second scene was they wanted to leave the house, and they kept driving away. And they kept coming back to the house no matter what direction they went.
The scene that scared me the most was he ran down to the boathouse for some reason, and I think they were trying to leave. There's a lot of urgency, and he comes back out to run back up to the house, and he looks, and there's this shot of like this face in the windows. It's a gigantic face, and that scared the shit out of me. That was the only part about that movie that actually I was in high school at the time. So I mean, I've always been a very easy scare, but that one got me.
Oh, it was. Oh wow.
So a couple other people. Hi, Hasselhoff. Sorry, man. I'm struggling to keep up with chat tonight. I'm bad at this tonight. A couple people mentioned a couple other movies that are one of which is I'm surprised so many people know about it in chat. But the other one is Event Horizon, and I think most people, at least now, know about Event Horizon. When it first came out, it didn't do very well, and honestly, I wish they hadn't cut as much out of it out as they did, because apparently a lot of deleted scenes that I've seen since are holy crap. That takes us to a whole new level. But I think they wanted it to be closer to PG-13. And so they cut a lot of that out. It still works really well as a film, I feel like. It's a pretty underrated film as far as like sci-fi and horror goes.
Probably the best movie other than Mortal Kombat that guy did.
Yeah. The other one is The Cube. And The Cube is kind of
oh my goodness. I didn't think anybody else saw that.
I saw The Cube, and The Cube is an excellent exercise in simplicity.
Yes.
Because it's basically one room that they kept reconfiguring to basically do the next scene and then moving from room to room to room while they try to figure out how the heck to get out of there.
I
thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really well executed.
Don't know that I considered it a horror movie necessarily, but man, what a mind F that movie was.
Yeah, and I think it fits in horror because it fits in the realm of being trapped. You can easily be killed. The Cube itself is a character. It's basically like a haunted house movie. Right? It's a reconfiguring haunted house movie of a sense.
Okay.
And The Cube apparently had two sequels. I don't remember seeing the sequels.
I don't remember seeing the sequel either, because first off, I couldn't. It was wild just watching the very first 2 minutes of Cube.
Yeah, with the wires.
Yeah. I almost see it more like a Saw movie than I do a true horror movie.
Well, Saw counts as horror. I mean, that's. I feel like that counts.
I got you.
I guess whatever kind of same thing.
Yeah.
And The Blob is another one that I don't think I've ever seen. The Blob. Now, Critters, I think I've seen one or two of the Critters movies.
Blob was cute.
It's been a long time.
I love The Blob.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with another one. Too. I'm gonna hit you with another one that got remade, and don't watch the remake. Watch the original. The Fog.
I watched The Fog.
I've seen the remake of that. I haven't seen the original.
That was just outright freaky. I mean, that made me afraid of actual fog for a long time.
And apparently a couple of people mentioned Wolfen that I don't think I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Zombies. I think zombie.
And Birds. American Werewolf. And I think a lot of people would easily say American Werewolf in London. That one also is very popular. I've never seen either one of those. I've seen clips of the transformation, and damn, is that well done.
So in the vein of The Blob and that kind of thing, what about and Wolfpack brings up the Birds. So what about The Swarm?
Or The Stuff?
The Stuff.
I never saw The Stuff, but that was like an ice cream thing that you would eat that turned you into like this.
Sometimes it killed you. So other times it just kind of turned you into like some zombie. Other times it did nothing. It really depends on how much budget they had left.
Yeah.
They had enough budget for maybe one or two awesome kills. That's
all right. So you shook your head no at The Swarm.
I've never seen that. Heard of it.
I haven't seen The Swarm. I couldn't tell you.
It was Killer Bees.
That just sounds like 2020.
You're right. Murder hornets.
That's not scary anymore. That's just real life.
Yeah. So, Freak of Four, would you put The Swarm in with like The Blob? Because I'm wondering how, because that's also, it's almost like those movies where you almost can't get away from the.
Yeah, I like Casper. I'll watch it on Halloween. I like Casper.
Get away from whatever it is that's trying to kill you. Right. And with The Swarm, like I remember scenes where people were trying to hide in cars and the bees were just finding their way into the cars, right? Through the engine and whatnot, and through the air conditioner. And it's just, yeah. What else?
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I never actually watched that one.
I've seen that.
It's so goofy. Basket Case. We've got so many of these that have clicked on that we haven't even talked about. Jeepers Creepers got mentioned, which I never actually went and watched. Jeepers Creepers. Body Snatchers got mentioned.
I think we got away from the original question, which was, what do you consider to be Halloween movies?
I honestly, everything everybody's mentioned, I think fits. It just kind of depends on what you're in the mood for.
We haven't really gotten into that. So you talked about Monster House, and so I mean, do you have like I have a stack of movies that I watched every year around Halloween. I mean, do you have a?
See, I have that for Christmas, and I have a very small stack that I watch around Halloween. Monster House is usually one of them I seek out.
A lot of
Nightmare Before Christmas is one that I seek out. Hocus Pocus is one that I'll generally seek out.
Yeah.
If there's any kind of like normal, like if The Exorcist is on somewhere streamable or Poltergeist, I'll watch those.
How about Halloween?
I never watched. I think I've maybe watched one Michael Myers film, and I'm going to get so much hate from this. He seems like a watered down Jason Voorhees to me.
Well, I agree with that. That's why I brought it up, because I've always felt like Jason and Mike Myers were kind of the same character.
Kind of. Only Mike Myers is more focused kind of on one family, whereas Jason just wants to disparagingly kill people.
I have another one that usually comes on around Halloween that I don't
Later
see.
Hasselhoff
That I don't see during the year so much. Is Psycho. The first Psycho with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, I could see that. American Psycho with Christian Bale.
Omega
is another one that's kind of trippy. That kind of doesn't count, but I kind of like it in there anyway. What's up, Omega?
Omega, we were talking about you in that awesome stream earlier. You and Mazen. Maybe.
I guess whatever you want to put on.
I
wouldn't really call American Psycho a scary
not especially. No,
yeah,
I mean, I like it because it's kind of like, but it's more of just kind of a generic slasher film, right?
Yeah,
in a sense.
I wouldn't even call it that. I would call it like.
Wasn't it called Jason X, like the Jason in Space thing? That one was weird.
That was weird. Although Freddy versus Jason, I thought was pretty cool.
I enjoyed Freddy versus Jason mostly just because it played to the strengths of both of the characters, right?
Yes.
Jason, it was kind of almost like a buddy cop comedy kind of thing, because Jason was the straight man, and then Freddy Krueger's like the really boisterous one, but they're beating the crap out of each other at the same time. So, I thought it was really well done. I liked it.
Now, all right, so I'm going to throw you a curveball, because we keep talking about horror movies. We keep talking about gore and stuff. But
Sleepy Hollow is excellent.
If we were talking about straight up a Halloween thing, maybe not, because that's technically a TV show. I was going to bring up the Great Pumpkin. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
I count it.
I watched Great Pumpkin and Garfield's Halloween special every year.
I wish I could find those more often. I need to buy those because I can't find them on anymore.
The Garfield one's kind of hard to find. I always find it on YouTube though. And I tried to track down all the cartoons that I watched because Disney. I don't like to support Disney any more than I have to, but they have a lot of really great Halloween shorts. Like
honestly, Disney Christmas around this time, I'll watch a lot of them on there.
You and me both, Rob. I throw up in my mouth a little to turn on Disney Plus a couple times.
That's right.
So,
now we're coming back. We're coming back full circle to stuff like Hocus Pocus again.
Yep.
And I like these almost more than I like the horror aspect. We talked a lot about various horror movies, which for a lot of people in chat, particularly like Freak and Zombie, they watch horror movies like year round, right? That's kind of one of the genres that they enjoy. For a lot of us, we dip our toes into it around this time of year, but there's a lot of them that just like that are just around that are just meant particularly for the holiday itself. And I feel like Nightmare Before Christmas, which is both a Christmas movie and a Halloween movie, Hocus Pocus, Great Pumpkin, Garfield's Halloween special. There's a couple of Mickey Mouse ones that show up on Disney Plus that I like. All those are just fun holiday fare, and those I'm totally okay with, and I like those more. I consider Monster House in that vein too.
Fit in with your list of movies that you're putting out there. Monster Squad is my Home Alone for Halloween.
I hate to say this, I've never seen Monster Squad. I really should sit down and watch it.
You should sit down and watch Monster Squad right now. It's great.
Well, not right now. I'm streaming with you guys. Yeah, see, Zombie and Freak, they mainline a lot of horror movies. Right. So we're right in their wheelhouse in this topic, right?
Where would you put Coraline then?
I feel like Coraline fits that because it's got that kind of creepy vibe. It's not overtly Halloween because it doesn't have a whole lot of Halloween imagery, but it fits closer to like kid-themed horror.
All right. Matrix, by the way, is making me take a quick look at something. I may have gotten one of my
the Legacy Amityville horror. Okay.
Yeah,
Trick or Treat's another one that I've heard several times. Yes.
Take a look at that because I might have been conflating one of my.
I have no idea what happened, man.
Oh, he's excited.
I know. I'm getting bashed for having not seen Monster Squad.
And rightfully so. It's such a great movie. This is a movie that you and I. It was made for us when we were kids.
I know, and I hate that I missed it. I think I missed it because I was very easily scared as a kid, so I didn't do a lot of horror.
And they're realistic, scary monsters, by the way. I mean, this is Sam Winston, so the special effects on these monsters, especially the creature from the Black Lagoon, are just fantastic. And yes, they scared my kids as well. But it's almost like it's got like a. I've looked up to see what other movies this guy has done because it has a very energetic, natural, almost like Lethal Weapon kind of energy for a kids movie. I think it might have actually had some pedigree there, but it's definitely worth watching every year.
Yeah, that might be one of those that becomes one of my regular. I haven't sat down to start watching my regulars yet. Mostly just because I've been trying to like either record or game, and I've honestly got to start studying for like things like certifications and stuff like that too. So my time's getting shorter and shorter lately. So yeah, it's been a thing.
All right. So just as a point of clarification, because I did conflate two movies. So the scene I was thinking of with the swimming pool is The Legacy, which was 1978. For some reason I again, you guys got to remember I was like, in 1978 and 79 I was 6-7 years old, so I conflated those movies together. Them driving away from the house and not being able to leave the house, that is definitely Amityville horror. But the other swimming pool scene, which is probably why you don't remember it. But I'll tell you what I do remember. I'll tell you what I do remember about Amityville horror, though, now that I'm thinking of it, was when the house started bleeding. That was a freaky scene.
There was some creepy stuff.
I think The Shining did that too, didn't it?
Did The Shining do that, or was that just Jack Nicholson? I mean, the thing I remember most.
The one I remember is like the Jack Nicholson one. They had a remake one too, but the Jack Nicholson one is the most popular one by Kubrick. And I know the elevator doors opened and blood came out completely out of the elevator doors. I can't remember if they bled or not.
Yeah, it would just say tidal wave of blood coming out of the elevator, and it was a like a flashback. It was didn't really happen. It was all in his head. So,
and see, I think the ones that are the scariest to go back to. Let's see. Retro Gamer Yasuki said, "I've never actually watched a horror movie that genuinely spooked me or gave me an authentic jump scare. Is there anything out there that can for you guys?" And I think after a while of watching horror movies and even mine in my limited experience, like just the straight up gore kills, while they start becoming more entertaining than they are scary. What really starts to kind of freak you out is stuff that makes you like think more the unknown kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Where something unusual happened, and it could be just something really subtle. right? That gets focused on. Like, there was a show on Netflix. I want to say it was like Haunting of the House on the Hill or something like that. It was kind of an Amityville horror thing.
Yep.
And the whole pacing is just kind of creepy throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
The end of one episode, they start to walk away, and like a light on this little model of the house just kind of comes on its own. And that alone was just kind of like sends a little bit of a shiver down your spine, because it's such a slow-paced film that sprinkles like little scares here and there. That little subtle things start to kind of catch you and put you at a sense of unease. And those are the things that I think are like, it's the ones that kind of pace themselves like that I think that get to me more now than, I mean, I'll get a jump scare where I'll jump back or something like that, but I find that more frustrating and annoying than I do like scary, right? But the ones that kind of pace themselves and really play with your head for a while, those are the ones that kind of get you a lot of times. Like American Horror Story is really good at doing stuff like that too. If you haven't seen those, a lot of those seasons are quite good at not only giving you that kind of visceral look, but also telling you a story that kind of like really freaks you out to an extent.
But they also have like a full season to like just stretch that out and savor it and let a lot of stuff breathe. Can't really do that in a unfortunately, you can't really do that in a typical 90.
Yeah, you can't do that in like 90 minutes to 2 hours, but you can pull off something like...
Well, it's hard to do it.
Like The Relic.
A good director can.
You can pull off stuff like The Relic. You can pull off stuff like The Exorcist. You can pull off stuff like Poltergeist, where things build. The pacing's a little slower. And then the slower it is, and the more you're waiting for something to happen, the more when something does happen, the more impactful it is. Right?
I'll tell you one thing that I like The Relic because that was another great Stan Winston monster, and also a really early example of early CGI in movies that looked amazing at the time. I can't imagine it looks good now. But because I read the book first, and the monster in the book was more like human sized, and then so they show from the victim's perspective this monster in the movie coming into the bathroom and like snuffling around the toilets and stuff. But then when you actually see the monster in the last third of the movie, it's as big as an elephant. And so it's like laughable, the idea that it can actually get into a public bathroom.
Right.
And mess with the sink.
Right.
So I think that the less is more is probably a little bit more believable for the book. So
yeah. Are we talking TV series, Zombie, or are we talking about the new movie? Which one are you talking about there? Because I really like the TV series, and I actually think it's better than the movie. The movie had a bigger budget, but it for some reason it didn't hit the same way Tim Curry's rendition did. Not for me, anyway. It was good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed part 1 and part 2. I just didn't think it was as good.
It leaned too hard into the 80s nostalgia, I thought. It was really trying really hard to ride that Stranger Things vibe.
It was, and Stranger Things has a lot of good moments too, in and of itself. Even though I don't necessarily consider that Halloween, it has a lot of good moments in and of itself. So yeah, a couple of people mentioned Phantasm. I have a buddy who adores that series of movies. I haven't sat down and watched those. I know a lot of people consider that a classic. Reanimator is one that just the box art creeped me out as a kid. Like I wouldn't watch that one just based off the box art. I was like, nope, I'm out. Okay.
I typically don't watch this until around this holiday. And by the way, the house on Haunted Hill, I have to tell you, you've not seen it until you've seen the Riff Tracks version with the Riff Tracks boys. I'm not kidding. I've never seen a crew be able to take a movie that is supposed to scare the crap out of you and make it hilarious.
We talked about earlier.
Yeah, I think we talked about Puppet Master a little earlier. There are a couple of us are big fans of the series, at least the first couple of them. Apparently, there's almost 10 of them now. I didn't even know that had happened. I remember seeing like 6 in the rental store, and then I lost track of it, and I think I only watched like 3 of them. And I was surprised to enjoy Puppet Master when I saw it. I picked it up on a whim because I was a wimp at horror then and still am to an extent. and sat down and really enjoyed it. I was surprised.
I'd love to see the Riff Tracks guys do one of those kind of movies.
Oh, I'm sure they'd rip it apart. And yeah, you're right, Zombie. The film focused on effects. The TV series focused around Carrie's acting, and I thought it was better for that rather than just trying to do a bunch of effects. I thought it lost something with all the effects, even though I thought the main actor who did, Pennywise, did a good job of being creepy. They didn't do as much with his creepiness, and they tried to do too many callbacks to other things, like the severed head scene with the spider legs thing. That was a callback to The Thing, and stuff like that.
It was
they didn't really do a lot of.
They even used a line like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, it was a little too on the nose,
right?
And especially with the second one, they undid a lot of tension by interjecting stupid jokes. Like, there is one of my favorite scenes in the second movie for a second was when Eddie the adult went into like the basement, and the dead leper came at him and then vomited all over his face. That's kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
Then they put "Call Me Angel" as he was vomiting. So why would they ruin that scene with a stupid comedic song cut?
I think they were trying to tone it down to try to make it more palatable for audiences, and it worked because it did very well as a film series. But it's not. You're right. It takes away some of the tension and horror from it. And honestly, I kind of consider Puppet Master horror because they do a lot. There's a lot of like gory kills and craziness and just sheer creepiness in that film series. Particularly when you think about how the puppets are made. Almost 15 of those movies. Holy cow.
That's crazy.
I could see that.
Few crossover and origin stories. That is craziness. I haven't seen the Full Moon movies. I am going to have to go hunt down Monster Squad. I may end up buying Monster Squad. So I may force my buddy to watch a couple of like Halloween movies or Halloween focused movies, because every time he comes over, I have a buddy who he'll do like 50s and 60s movies, and then he'll do modern movies, but he completely missed like 80s and 90s somehow. I don't know how he missed the 80s and 90s, but he's missed like a ton of stuff. Like, he had never seen Commando. He had never seen Predator. He's never seen The Lethal Weapons. Like, he'd never seen Goonies. He had never seen Labyrinth. Like, I'm like, how did you? These are like your childhood, man. Like, you're within a couple of years of me. These are like
apparently not.
These are apparently you missed your childhood. This is sort of like your birthright to see these films. I feel like, what the heck?
You know what I have not seen in the chat either, and I typically don't watch this through the year either. I wait till around this time, and I'm going to actually let my 18-year-old finally watch it with me. Young Frankenstein.
That's such a good movie. I don't know if I consider that. Is that Halloween? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's all about.
I mean, it's a great film. Don't get me wrong.
I don't know. I kind of just because of the whole Transylvania thing, and
I could kind of see it. I mean, it's in the vein of like Frankenstein's monster, right?
Yeah.
So it's playing on those classic horror movies.
Very much.
And that's one of the things I want to watch with him too, because I think he's got the Hammer films. I've never seen the Hammer films, and I hear all horror aficionados are like, Hammer films. Like, you need to watch the Hammer films. And I'm like, all right. I'm gonna break down and watch the Hammer films at some point. Just haven't gotten to it yet.
Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to yawn there.
No, you're fine, man. We're a little over an hour, and I was going to keep this one kind of tight anyway. We had to respect your guys' time, and we're just kind of getting back through here.
Paradox! I was just about. Oh my God, Paradox! I was 3 seconds away from saying it.
Transylvania 65. I have not even heard of that.
Okay, so
65,000.
So it's a play on the old song Pennsylvania 65,000. All right. It's a comedy. It's totally a comedy, and it's so campy and stupid that it is fantastic.
The very concept of this movie freaks me out. By the way, a sci-fi horror movie that seems lost and forgotten. Puppet masters, an alien creature locks onto your spinal cord and controls you. Actually, that sounds a lot like Stargate to me. Honestly, when in retrospect.
Jeff Goldblum. That was who was in Transylvania 65000.
He was also in The Fly.
Yes. That's another great movie. And
that's
was Gina Davis.
That pretty much everybody would consider a classic.
So was Gina Davis. Zombie said Gina Davis was so gorgeous.
Gina Davis was gorgeous back in the day, period.
Yes.
No matter what you put her in.
So pretty in Beetlejuice. Oh, my God.
Have a good one, Matrix. Glad to have you here, man.
Wait, was Gina Davis in Transylvania 65000? Or are you thinking of somebody else? Oh, no. You're right. She played, the heck was her name? Odette. She played Odette. I was thinking Carol Kane.
Under the Stairs. I remember seeing
that
box art for that, but I don't remember ever watching it.
Why was Mockingjay's fly emoji held for review? What was
I have no idea.
I don't know.
There's been a lot of weird stuff overread, and I have no idea why. Jim!
But yet he did it again. Havoc Wolf did the fly, and it let that one.
It didn't. Maybe you just have to do.
Maybe it only has to be allowed once, and then it's okay. I don't know.
Mockingjay, do it again.
I have no idea why I got blocked.
Just put the fly, or
just the fly.
The fly picture.
I didn't even. I looked over at the other screen for a second. Didn't even see.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep it I unblocked the fly emoji.
It did it.
Why? I don't understand.
That's weird.
I'm
barely offended by that, so I don't see why it should be blocked.
I can't even tell that it's a fly. So I mean, why would I ever be offended by that? That's very weird.
Is it an outside emoji? Is it not in the? Hold on. Maybe because it's. Hold on.
I know Panda's been unblocking.
No, it's an emoji.
I got no
idea. Inside the emoji set.
YouTube's so weird. I don't get it.
I can do it because I'm a mod.
I don't get YouTube. I've been on this platform like 3 years, and every day I go, "Why? Why do you do what you do?"
I don't know. Is it used as like an insult, like the clown emoji now? So they're blocking it.
I don't know. Apparently, flies are offensive.
I guess so.
Flies are cultural appropriation.
From afar, it looks like balls. Apparently, according to Panda. I don't know. And I got blocked again. I got nothing.
I guess there's no discrimination with it, though. It'll block it regardless.
Except for me. It let me do it because I'm a mod.
It's just the YouTubes being the YouTubes. I don't know. I'm offended because it's offensive.
Omega says, Marty Mc gets permabanned.
Will Peck is now triggered by flies.
That good old... So you know what it is?
My God.
It's another weird. I didn't find it as scary, but another weird part of the Amityville horror.
Oh yeah, Scanners. I'd forgotten about Scanners.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another. Oh, Frighteners.
That one I never saw. I never heard of that one.
Frighteners
is Michael J. Fox, Peter Jackson.
I didn't see that one.
It's got not. What was Donald Sutherland's name? No, not Dalton. It's got Jake Busey is in it.
Oh yeah,
and also the hilariously creepy guy from Reanimator is in it. I forgot his name. And he's the best part of the movie.
I got a wrench. I could go ball crazy. But yeah, I have Michael J. Fox in it. He plays like a paranormal investigator of sorts. He's chasing down a couple of ghosts that were serial killers in life, and then they get killed, and they're still going around killing people, and he can see the marks on their heads and stuff. It's not like super deep creepy, but it's got like a cool kind of like disconcerting vibe to it, and it's just fun. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's totally similar to Ghostbusters in that the horror, the scary stuff is played straight, but the characters are all sarcastic.
Yeah. It's a fun film. Stepford Wives, I could see that. That absolutely works. Now Pan is just putting up fly emojis.
He asks a good question though.
I was wondering that earlier.
I watch it around Halloween. I like it, and I mean, let's don't go too far and include the 2016 one. That's just too scary.
No, for all the wrong reasons.
For all the wrong reasons. But yeah, I really like Ghostbusters 1 and 2. I know people are split on both Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife, but I like both of those.
I did too. I mean, I didn't like Afterlife the way everybody else did, but I didn't dislike it. I liked it too. Good.
I almost disliked it.
But Afterlife?
Yeah.
I can see that because I think you and a couple other people had the same opinion that it was a little it was a little too aggressive towards some of the original cast for a lot of it, and then and in a lot of people's opinion too pandering towards the end.
I'm in that camp. I thought them showing up at the end was a little too. Come on,
too late.
Are we doing this? Are we doing this? And even making cutesy little references to their own jokes, the lines that real people would have forgotten. So they could have done better, a lot better.
I didn't mind that, and I'm not gonna lie. I got emotional at the very, very end. What they did for Harold Ramis and that character was awesome. But my problem is I didn't have a problem with them showing up to do that. What I had a problem is they waited till the end to do it. They should have brought the Ghostbusters in way earlier.
Yeah.
Had them properly, I hate to use this because they're kids, properly train the kids to how to do what they did, and then let them go. And I don't mind them passing the torch.
I have a feeling they're going to do more of that moving forward because they've already got a sequel planned.
Yes.
And so I think they're going to do that a little bit more traditionally in the next one. The Crow, I didn't even think about that, but it does take place during like Hell Week or whatnot, Halloween, and I'm totally fine with that. I look at that as more of an action film. I don't really place that in Halloween, but it totally works that way. Another one that I found to be kind of a more recent favorite, I guess in the last maybe 7 or 8 years, Cabin in the Woods. Mm-hmm. Although that one was really good.
That was good.
I also like that one.
Yeah, Number for Xmas, 50% Halloween movie, 50% Christmas movie. It works for both.
Yep.
Haven't really watched Jacob's Ladder. That's been mentioned a couple of times as well. Mommy Dearest with Stepford Wives.
All the
Stepford Wives. I never saw The Descent.
All the Stepford Wives have wire hangers.
Wait, Carla had a heart attack I missed. Wait. Die Hard. Oh, Carla. Oh, walking on sacred ground here. Die Hard is totally a Christmas movie. We're not here to talk about Christmas movies right now, though. We'll go into that.
No.
Die Hard counts. Die Hard counts. Die Hard always gets a pass. In my mind, Die Hard always gets a pass.
I mean, it's fair.
One movie that my wife and I have taken to watching every Halloween it's not really in your face a Halloween movie, but it totally actually is, and that would be the Guest, starring a bunch of unnamed or unknown actors. Because it's if you kind of focus on the main story beats, it's almost a retelling of the original John Carpenter Halloween, and it takes place during Halloween, and literally some kind of Halloween memorabilia is in every single shot in the. I know you want to interrupt me. Go ahead.
No.
I can't recommend that hardly enough. I would say everyone needs to go watch The Guest if you haven't already. It's also got a really groovy, almost synthy soundtrack. So
I've not seen The Guest. I think Monster Squad is on my short list of ones to watch, along with some of the Hammer films this year, to kind of get that sort of classic horror vibe thing going on. And Monster Squad, just because 80s kind of horror-esque film.
What about the Addams Family?
Addams Family is a great watch.
Yeah.
I love those.
But is it a Halloween movie?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I usually watch it around this time of year.
It's totally appropriate because it has like a Beetlejuice kind of vibe.
That's what I do, Jim. Until I need to mute Mike.
Oh.
I like Slither. I totally forgot about Slither. I like Slither.
I didn't like Slither.
I thought it was good.
What else was there?
I don't know. I'm running out of movies here, but Halloween's not my. Of course, around this time I'd be running out of Christmas movies too. But there's a lot fewer Christmas movies than there are horror movies.
Yeah. I mean, because then again, when you get away from the Halloween aspect, there's still a ton of movies we haven't covered, like Final Destination and
there's a bunch of those. Yeah,
you know, most of the Stephen King stuff.
I think we mentioned Hollow Man a little earlier. I think we did talk about that.
I think we did. You know, we talked about. We said somebody brought up the Lost Boys.
Yeah. I think a couple of us mentioned Lost Boys.
I still can't believe only one person brought up Dracula in the chat.
I thought Bram Stoker's Dracula was a really good film. I enjoyed that one. But there's a bunch of earlier ones that I have not seen too. A lot of the Hammer versions of that I haven't seen.
Of my favorite, I know that most people's brains go right to Bela Lugosi, but I was a big fan of Christopher Lee's.
I know a lot of people really enjoyed Christopher Lee even more. I thought he had
the height, he had the build. I mean, he was
kind of did.
Only a few times.
Yeah, nobody mentioned Friday the 13th.
We don't talk about Voorhees in this house.
Voorhees, more like Snorhees.
That's right. No, those are some fun films. I always thought when it came down to like Jason or Freddy Krueger, I always leaned more towards Freddy Krueger because I thought the creativity was better there than it was with Jason, because Jason kind of had one shtick, right? Whereas Freddy could do pretty much anything because he's in your mind. Ooh, one more that I don't think hardly anybody knows about. I've not heard anybody mention it yet tonight. Shocker.
Yeah.
I remember that movie. That's what the he's African American, electrified, resurrected electrified.
Was he African American? Yeah, he makes a deal with the devil. He gets electrocuted and becomes electricity.
Yeah, because I remember, was he? Because I'm almost picturing like, God, I could picture the movie cover. I thought he was.
Yeah, it's like basically a guy slapped sharp to an electric chair and getting electrocuted. Yeah. And apparently I'm the only one that ever saw this movie because nobody else is mentioning any acknowledgement about it at all. So I found one that even like a lot of our horror aficionados don't remember, or they don't claim to remember, which is fine. So we don't talk about that film.
I liked Corpse Bride.
I like Dr. Sleep. I thought that was good.
Since we talked about Nightmare Before Christmas and we're talking about Tim Burton, what about Corpse Bride?
I didn't get as much into Corpse Bride, but I think that counts. I feel like a lot of Tim Burton stuff, particularly when he was doing a lot of the stop motion stuff, works pretty well. There was another one. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank on it. I can't remember the movies. It was in the same vein of like Frankenweenie. That was it. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Oh, like Frankenweenie. Another one in that era was Paranorman.
Yeah, Paranorman's also cute. That one's also really cute. I like that as well. Yeah, that one totally fits for me. That's one of those that's like the adults can enjoy it, but the kids can enjoy it and that kind of stuff. and pretty much anything Scooby-Doo.
So the Scooby-Doo movies are frequently listed on Halloween movie lists, but I don't like.
And Jim got it before I could even look it up.
Yeah, we brought up Coraline earlier, and I think that is. I think Coraline is Halloween. I feel like that the family.
No, I'm totally fine with that being Halloween. Yeah. That fits. It's got that same kind of vibe to it. It borderline a little bit. Haunted Mansion. Eddie Murphy's Haunted Mansion is kind of a guilty pleasure film.
Yeah,
it's in that same kind of vein. It's just a fun, easy Halloween seasonal watch, right?
Yeah.
But I like movies like that around the season. It didn't have to be like, oh, blood and gore and stuff like that. Those are fun from time to time. They're not a mainstay for me. I'm just as happy watching stuff like, Frankenweenie and Hocus Pocus and, the Scooby-Doo films and stuff like that when they're up and things like that. Something that's a little bit more lighthearted, but kind of in the season, right? Because the season's meant to be fun. However you want to find that fun, that's fine. The Goosebumps movie, I think, fits in that well, too. I thought both of those were good for what they were. I only watched Shocker since it was a Wes Craven film. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't claim Shocker. Right now, I thought it was cool.
Who the main character was. I think it was Mitch Pileggi, but so obviously I was wrong. It's totally a white guy, which is fine.
I thought it was, but I couldn't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know who I was thinking of.
Films just can't be fun. I like those. And Sandwich, we did mention Frighteners a little earlier. I like that film.
Cousin Bourne brought up Ed Wood, which I would consider a Halloween film.
I don't remember Ed Wood. I'm drawing a blank on that one. I'm drawing a blank on that one. I believe you guys if you say it, but I don't remember seeing anything.
It's another Tim Burton. It had Johnny Depp in it. It was another Tim Burton movie.
Oh, okay. He had more hit than this. He went through a phase where it was just kind of like weird stuff like Edward Scissorhands that I wasn't necessarily into. And then he had then Tim Burton had long, stringy stuff I adored. And then he started tapering off with stuff like Big Fish, which I thought was still really good, but just kind of out there for the sake of being out there.
Yeah, I didn't like Big Fish.
It's okay. It's fine, Sam. I'm okay retreading some of these because sometimes it's triggering us to remember others. And right now I'm just kind of pulling up a list of various horror movies to see which ones that I remember. And oddly, a lot of people are putting Monsters, Inc. in there, and I don't know if I count that at all or not. Oh my God. How did we not mention this? Oh my God. Matthews, me and you were terrible. Gremlins.
I don't know.
Because Gremlins is not a Halloween movie. Gremlins
it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
I watch it every Christmas.
The first one, yes. The second one's kind of ambivalent.
Okay, well, the second one is not. I don't know if that's Halloween appropriate for me, but I wouldn't think to watch it around Halloween.
I don't even remember the second one.
The second one is very silly. It's a Looney Tunes.
It's very silly. I like the fact that they went totally over the top saying you personally.
Yeah, it's great. And there's a lot.
And everyone's like Gremlins is Christmas. Okay. The consensus is Gremlins
is
Christmas.
No, because that's the time period in which the movie takes place.
And a few people are giving me Gremlins too, just because it's non-holiday specific. It's not focused around any given holiday. All right.
Gremlins, however, was a fantastic freaking movie.
Oh, but I love both those movies. Flat out. I think those are both great films. Wherever you want to put them, I don't care. I think they're both fantastic films.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Key and Peele skit about how Gremlins 2 was made was hysterical. And I can't really say that they're far off. I still love it because it's just crazy. There's a demanded Gremlins 2, but the director and writer didn't want to do it, so they went to complete camp out of spite. I could see that. But honestly, I kind of looked at the original Gremlins and went, this is such a tight film that feels like it doesn't really need a sequel. The only way you can make a sequel is to just go completely madcap and go into the zaniness. and kookiness of the Gremlins from the first movie and just amp that up. And that's what they did. And I thought it was a great film for that reason. Now, I keep hearing that
House 2 was like that as well. Mike, have you seen House 2? House 2. Have you seen, Mike?
I didn't see the second one.
I think that they went the Gremlins 2 route on that because the first House was already kind of lighthearted, with a lot of comedic moments. Did we talk about that off camera or during the stream? House.
We talked about it during the stream.
Yeah, we talked about it during the stream. We didn't have a whole lot of time to go into too much before the stream because we all kind of came in a little late.
So, but I believe House 2 was even more so.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I didn't even really know half the cast in House 2.
I've only seen it once.
I haven't seen either one of the House movies, so I can't speak at all on those, quite frankly.
House 1 is worth watching.
It is. I
totally agree. To me, I don't really consider it to me, it doesn't have the Hallmark Halloween vibes because it takes place.
It does not. It's not a Halloween movie.
It's a very bright movie for one thing. A lot of it takes place during the day, and it's I don't know. It's good though. Well, it's it's not good. It's entertaining.
Yes.
Gotta.
I mean, it's not fair to say it's not good. I think it's
pretty fair to say. Doesn't mean I don't like it, but it's not nearly as good as a lot of the other movies we've already mentioned.
No, very. William Catt, that's who was the lead in House. That's the Greatest American Hero. And George Wendt, Richard Mole was in it. That's the guy from Night Court that was in it.
Yeah.
So I think at this point I'm going to start kind of wrapping this up because we're close to 10 o'clock for me, which is 12 o'clock for you, and 11 for Matthew. Well, 9 for Matthews. My time is off. But I'm going to try to spend some time on this stuff with the wife, chill out for a little bit, and then get ready to crash out because I do need to go into the office tomorrow. So I have to get up a little bit earlier than I would normally be getting up. So, because we could go on for this for like another hour because now we've hit like a second wind and everybody's like throwing things in again, which always happens. And I love you guys for it. So any last thoughts, guys? Tits on. Couldn't get you guys to be quiet.
We laid it all out there tonight.
I didn't get into my George Romero zombie movies, but yeah, we did talk about zombies.
Did
Dawn of the Dead is probably my favorite movie I watch around Halloween. No, Day of the Dead.
Yeah, I think if I was to pick a zombie movie, personally, be either 28 Days Later or like maybe Zombieland, which are totally disparate.
I would recommend Nikki watch Train to Busan. It has a very, very 28 Days vibe. Better made though, I think.
What is it again? Train to Busan?
Train to Busan. Busan.
Interesting.
It's got one of the guys from Squid Game in it.
I have not seen Session None, by the way. Mike, any last thoughts? Return to Oz. Yeah, that's a movie that's just weird. Like it's so off tempo from Wizard of Oz. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely got a lot of horror imagery on it. It's kind of its own beast. You're right, Freak. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, I was taking. It's funny he brought up Return to Oz because I was looking across a couple of lists of best Halloween movies to see if I had missed anything that with all the ones that we were throwing out there. And believe it or not, there's a couple of those lists that the Wizard of Oz shows up on. And I don't consider the Wizard of Oz a Halloween movie in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, it's got a witch in it. That's the closest thing I can think of. But
there's a ton of movies with witches in it.
I know.
I mean,
like witches.
Like witches.
Yeah. Return to Witch Mountain. Witches of Eastwick.
My
a bunch of those.
The Witch Mountain movies. Oh, that's a whole separate conversation we could have about great movies in the day. Yeah, I mean, The Craft, Witches of Eastwick.
The Craft got mentioned, actually.
Yeah, but I don't consider it a Halloween movie.
Yeah, I don't know. You can kind of go that way with it. I don't know. It's kind of an odd one. Anyway, what do you guys have coming up this week? Anything, Rob?
Not really. Just working on it. I'm working on a Halloween video, but it's going to be coming out later in the month. So,
gotcha. Mike, I know you have NLG.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I do not. So yeah, tomorrow night begins Yom Kippur. There will be no NLG show tomorrow night. I don't know. I told Chris and Peter if they want to do a stream or whatever, channels theirs for the night. And this whole week is just, I've got that tomorrow night and Wednesday night. I've actually got band gigs on Thursday night and Saturday night. I'm not going to have much time for much in the way of gaming this week.
Gotcha. The only main thing that I have going on is I'm starting up a new series. Some of you guys saw me mention it on Twitter. I'm going to be looking at various different horror icons in video games, or in the games that they were slated to be in. So the idea behind that is to go into a little bit of the character or the series, kind of what it's about, the lore behind the characters or whatnot, and then go into the games that they were either slated to be in or the ones that they actually made it into, and kind of go into that from a sort of a game history perspective on the Geek Historian channel. So if you guys like that kind of thing, it's not going to be like really, it's going to have like kind of a spooky vibe to it because it's Halloween-esque and the topic is kind of graphic, but it's not going to be like scary or anything like that. It's still more focused around what that channel's about. But hopefully you guys will enjoy that. I think it's going to be a neat new series that I can do around this time of year. That should be fun. That I think you guys will find some neat parts in it. The first one coming out actually had some really cool ideas that never got executed that I thought were really, really neat, that I just finished wrapping up on today. So I'm going to try to get that up and either put it out on either Wednesday or Friday. I haven't decided yet, but this month is mostly dedicated towards me getting those kinds of videos out. So I'll have less content on there, but it's going to be the longer kind of 10, 15-minute videos. This one's like 10 minutes. I expect some of the others, if I get to some of the other ones that I want to get to in the list, to be longer because there's more there as far as like the games and things like that go. The first one was a lot of games that were trying to come out but never really made it, and kind of why and this, that, and the other and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I think it'll be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing people's reaction to it. It should be interesting to say the least. But that's all I've kind of got going on. I may or may not do a stream tomorrow on this channel. I kind of want to get back to doing a little bit of streaming and stuff here and there. It's just finding the time and getting up the energy to want to sit down and blast through a stream, since it kind of throws me off. I'm so not in the schedule that it's setting my mindset to do it again, that kind of thing. So, but it'll probably be more lighthearted games. If I do stuff, it'll probably be stuff like either Costume Quest or Luigi's Mansion or Carrion or something like that. I probably won't go hardcore like retro streams because, quite frankly, I still haven't brought myself to continue to bash my head against fucking Ninja Gaiden in a while. And I kind of want to finish that fucking game, but it's just getting to the point where I don't know that I care anymore. So I'm kind of struggling to get the drive to want to go back to it, or really retro gaming in general right now. So it may be more lighthearted fare if I do streaming for a while, but that's kind of what's going on. I have not watched the new Monsters. I kind of want to. I heard it was campy. I heard some people loved it and some people didn't. Same thing with Hocus Pocus 2. So
wait, somebody remade the Monsters?
Yeah. Rob Zombie did a Monsters film on Netflix.
Pass.
I just watched
the
guy who played Grandpa. I could tell from the trailer he's doing an amazing job, and I almost want to see it just for him. But I'm not. The rest, I'm giving up.
Without Fred Gwynn, hard pass.
Yeah, I heard the effects are really, really, really bad, but the actors are really into their roles, so the actors really kind of play it up like the Monsters, and you can tell they're having a lot of fun with it. So people had mixed reactions.
I've heard the opposite, that Rob Zombie's wife, and then the guy that played who's playing Herman. It's like they had never have seen the original Munsters, so they are playing.
That's not great.
Different characters. I don't know. I
stop remaking this crap, Hollywood.
Well, it's like they made it probably for pennies. They're probably going to get nickels out of it. So I don't know. It's hard to fault them for it when it was such a low impact release. The colors look pretty in the trailers. That's kind of all I gotta.
Yeah, that's about all I know about it. I haven't booted it up to watch it. It was kind of on the back of my head to watch. Hocus Pocus 2 was one that I wanted to watch, and that one got a lot of early positive reactions, and now it seems to be getting a lot of negative reactions. So I won't know until I sit down and watch it whether or not it's going to be for me or not. So anyway, I think at this point we're going to call time of death here at 10:06 my time. And call it a night. Thank you, everybody who popped in and hung out with us.
Yeah, great.
We had a pretty good crowd for having not done this in a month.
They were hungry. They were hungry for it.
Yeah. Well, it was a good topic at the right time of year.
They were thirsting for the retro.
And, we're sort of back, kind of, sort of. See? Play by ear here. At least this will probably continue going. Whether or not other streams will pop up, I don't know. Kind of depends on how things go. But anyway, night, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, happy gaming.
Night, everyone.
Hey, gamers.